Does your drum mix sound like this? Do you want it to sound like this? What's up, guys? I'm Nate, and I just dropped my free drum mix template for you guys. It's a Logic Pro mix template. This mix has gotten me hundreds of millions of views and thousands of comments online of people saying they love my drum sound. So I wanted to give back to you guys and give you a mix template. A lot of people have asked me on how I mix my stuff, and I actually have a full recording course that goes with this mix template if you guys are interested. But right now we're just talking about the free mix template. So yeah, this is a little rundown and walkthrough of it. I'm gonna break down how to use it. If you want to get the free mix template, hit the link in my description and go to my website and just plug in your email, and then I'll send you the files. I go more into depth on mixing, and I have another mix template as well as a full recording course on my website if you guys want to check that out. I probably emailed you like a discount code or whatever if you're interested, but who cares? We're worried about the mix template now. So here is our zip folder. So you're going to take out the zip and you're going to double click the zip folder to extract it, obviously. And then I already have mine right here. So let me just open this folder, and you should have this folder, Nate Mueller drum mix template. And so let's click it and open it. So now that we got the folder open, you can see this is Nate's drum mix template. Then you also get a little read me first, which I'm not going to read that to you. You can read it yourself. I'll go through it though. Basically, I'm going to explain it. And then we have Nate's sample recording. So I'm actually going to show you that just in a bit. We have a WAV file that's a bounce of it, and then the actual Logic file. So you can see like all my settings. I mean, well, I'm using the actual template. I didn't really change anything except the gain, but you can see my raw files and how it's kind of changing them and compare it to your raw drums. So first, we're just going to go to the Nate's drum mix template, and I'll break it down for you of kind of like what you should do right off the bat. Let's open this folder, and bang, here we are. So first, head to File, then Save as Template, then save this project as the name Nate Mueller's Awesome Mix Template, or whatever you'd like. That way, anytime you start a new project, you can select File, New, from Template, and then select this template. So I'll show you that, guys, real quick. But before I do, here is a little note. I recommend plugging in your inputs to each track first. That's the way you can open the template, press R on the drum mix, and boom, you're recording. Just want to make sure you save this project as a template first, or else you will edit on it and having to keep going for files. So let me just explain that real quick, and sorry to read it to you like you're in first grade, but I want to make sure this is good for you. So as soon as we get in, we're going to go to File, Save as Template. And then you're going to name this, Nate Mueller's Awesome Template, and save it as a project template. And then whenever you go to, you're in Logic and you go New, you can go New from Template. And then, I'm not going to close this, but it'll say which template you want to pick. Pick mine, because mine's awesome. But first, what I would suggest is go through here on every single one of these inputs here, and I'll show you guys all the inputs in a second, but right here, say your kick in, like mine, is input 1. You would put input 1. And you want to do that before you save the template. So hopefully you didn't go ahead and already save the template. Do that before you save the template, because say you use, like me, I use all my inputs are the same on my interface all the time. Anytime I open my template, I can hit R right here, boom, and I hit R, and all those tracks record immediately. They're ready to go, and I could just press R on my thing, and it's recording all my mic, just like that. So I'd recommend putting your inputs in and doing that right off the bat. But let's keep going this way. I have added a gain plugin to every track, and I've set everything to a normal mix that sounds great with gain staging, with my gain staging. So real quick on gain staging, I dive a lot more into all this on my recording course, but if you want to pick it up, I should have emailed you like a discount thing or whatever, but it's fine. You don't have to buy my course. Just listen up here. So gain staging, we want to just make sure that all our levels are, especially on your interface, like in the green at a pretty good range, but you're going to have to play with it. So these gain levels are kind of already set to, I think, a pretty good level, but I've also added, I'm going to pull up the mixer here. X is the key for that. X, pull up the mixer. You can see I have a gain plugin on like every track. Some of these plugins haven't loaded in yet, but you can see them here. They're all just little gain plugins for your gain. Now, obviously, you could do it on here, but sometimes, it gets whack. But say your kick is, you need a little bit more gain, just bring it up or down. So set that back to 0, and we are cooking. So make sure you got your inputs, make sure you were gain staging everything good, and yeah, you will have to adjust your gain either on your interface or in the project. to accurately dial in your mix. Now, I am sorry that I'm reading this, but it helps me as well just to know what I'm supposed to be telling you. So there's EQ, compression, and a bit of other effects like reverb, distortion, and saturation. Applied to the tracks and buses appropriately. I spelled that wrong. It's okay. I'm going to leave it in there. Make adjustments as needed for your mix. So if you don't know how to make adjustments, that's fine. This is going to be a really good template for you, but I'm actually going to show you in just a bit. If you're wondering like, oh shoot, Nate, I don't have a kick out mic, or over here, I don't have a hi-hat mic or a ride mic. Like, do I need to go buy one? No, don't go buy one. This is just my stuff, and I set up more than you need. So for example, I don't use a ride mic. I don't use a hi-hat mic. I barely use my kick out mic, but I know a lot of people use them, and it's just like, if you do want to, play around with a kick out mic, or you want to play out with like, oh man, I can't really hear my hi-hat in the mix. Like, let's get a hi-hat mic, or same thing with your ride. You could try it out. I have presets for him, and I'll show you in a bit. In my sample recording, I actually did record my set with the hi-hat, ride mic, and all the mics, but I recommend you delete the things that you're not using. So you don't have to do this in your template, but like I said, I'll show you these folders just real quick. Like I said, when you press R on this, it's in a folder, it's in a bus folder, so it'll go boom, and it'll record everything for you. So let me just show you these folders real quick, and then I'll make my big point. So see how I did that with that folder? These are all buses, or track stacks, summing stacks, whatever you want to call them. So we have our tracks and songs. This is where you want to put like your MP3, or, your Fall Out Boy cover that you're about to do, Sugar We're Going Down. And then drum reverb bus is like reverb. If you know what reverb is, we're using the Space Designer here. A little bit of wet stuff. And we got our distortion crush bus, which I have mixed pretty low. It's a lot of overdrive and compressor, just kind of have some big loud like punch in the background to add it in. And then we have our parallel compression bus, again, just kind of a big punch to add to your mix. Then we have our drum mix, this is all our drums, but then once we open the folder, we see our kick out, or our kick, which is kick in, kick out. We'll close that up. Snare, snare top, snare bottom, close that up. Overheads, left and right, or right and left, whatever you use. If you use X, Y, or spaced, they're going to be great for you. Close that up. Toms, now this is important as well. 8-inch tom, if you don't have one, don't worry about it. Say you have a 12, a 13, and a 16. I'd recommend you use the 10, the 12, and make that 10, like I said, adjust. Maybe you want to put this a little lower, some of these, but I would do that. And then your floor tom, this lower one, floor tom 2 is a bit lower and boomier. Say you have like only a 16-inch floor tom, but if you have a 14 and a 16, that's great for you. But like I said, delete some of these tracks if you're not using them. If you have a 13, don't worry about it. These are more like if you have 3 rack toms, 8, 10, 12, or 12, 13, these will be your guys right here. So anyway, I have all my toms in a little folder, and then here I have this as aux mics. Room mic, a hi-hat mic, and a ride mic. Like I said, I'm not a big aux mics guy. I do use a room mic in my hallway back there. Outside that door, I have a nice big stairwell that I have a mic in. Have a cord running all the way back. Super cool. I talk about it more in my recording course. Just kidding. But, so there's all that, and then obviously that's boom right there, but then we'll open these back up and get to my point, which my point was, what was my point? Since these are all neatly in a folder like this, if you press record in some of these, like, I can't believe I'm going to show you this out. I'll do this really easy. Watch this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to hit R on the ride, right? And I have no input. So what's going to happen? Boom, no input source selected. And that's going to happen. Say you do this, and I'm not going to do it because it'll give me like 16 of them. No input, no input, no input. So you want to kind of, say you're not using a kick out, double click and just delete that track. And then boom. Or you could put a blank input. But I just want to make this super easy and like what I do, which is like I just record. Like I just hit the R button and it enables all the tracks. Last but not least, have fun. Mixing is a journey just like drumming or anything in life. Take risks, move things around, play around with these tracks and the plugins. This isn't the end all be all. There's no right way or wrong way to mix your drums. But if/when it starts sounding bad, you can always go back to the original template and you'll get it set up. So don't be afraid to go in here and play with some of these EQs and try to get them to sound better for your drums. Don't, because you can always go back, and I wanted this to be a learning experience. If you really want to learn how to use this template and mix your drums, I really do recommend my recording course, and hopefully I gave you a nice discount for it. But yeah, don't be afraid to play around. Right now I'm going to go over to my sample recording, and I'm going to show you kind of how all these effects work. When you want to close this up, we're going to go close and save. But I'm not going to save this one because I don't need it. So here's our sample recording. It's important to save that as a template because once you save that, it'll be like, this is the project, because this is not a template folder. This is the actual project. So if you record on that right there and you don't save it as a template, it's just going to, boom, you're screwed. Well, not screwed, but so let's go to my sample recording, Nate's sample recording here. And here it is. So we have the WAV file, but let's go into the project. This is a sample recording of how you use the template. You can check my gain stage and whatever, whatever. You can read that on your own. So here I have a little bit of recording that I'm going to show you. So this is what we're doing here. Let's just check out this kick sound first. Sounds pretty good. But what happens if we take this EQ off? And this compressor and this fat effects. Not as punchy, but especially with this EQ, boosting a lot of that low end, a little bit of high end for the click, and taking out a lot of this mud over here. But anyway, for the EQ, a lot of my EQ strategies, actually I can't tell you this. See, it's a lot warmer when we boost this and a little bit high end, but then we cut a little of this boxiness. And unfortunately, I can't tell you much more about how I EQ. I do a whole deep dive in my recording course, so check it out if you want to learn more. But that's kind of what I'm doing for EQ. EQ is on all these tracks. Sometimes I'm boosting high end, sometimes just the main note frequency. But we have that. Then we have a lot of compressors, just kind of pushing down and evening up a lot of these tracks. And then we have this Fat FX plugin that all it's doing is doing a little bass enhancement for, I think, the floor toms and the kick, and then a little bit of saturation and distortion, as well as a little bit of mastering. So it's mostly just EQ, Fat FX, and that we have this overdrive with some compression for our distortion bus, which is over here, which let's listen to that real quick. So it's just a touch. You can hear it a lot in the toms though, like. So I like a little bit of that, but not a ton. Same thing with parallel compression here. You can kind of hear. Adds just a little bit of beef to that mix. It's adding in to your main drum mix. So that's that. And then we have our reverb, which we're using the Space Designer. It's not the best reverb, but as a stock Logic plugin, but if you want to go in yourself, obviously you can check this out and you could see all of my raw files. Just go to X, take off all of these plugins and just see. And this file is not that important. You don't really need to go into it, but you might want to take out, if you're going to use it, which I don't think you will, but I do have my exact inputs on here as well if you want to steal my input routing. I love my input routing. It's really easy. And I use 16 inputs total, but, it's overkill. You don't need that stuff. And I get into all that on my recording course. And I think that's about it. So let's close that up. There's our folder. Save that somewhere where it's nice and cozy and not getting lost, because you don't want to lose it, but you can always hit me up and download it again. Last but not least, I want to make a couple disclaimers. I'm not saying that your drums are going to sound amazing in this template. I think this will really help, and I think a lot of this is about the information I'm including, like my EQ curves that I use, the compression settings, that's a big thing for me. I can't say that I'm going to magically fix your drum sound because it has a lot to do with tuning, the way you're hitting it, and just getting a really good recording. You know, good room sound and all that. Another thing is we are recording in 48 kilohertz. If you do 44.1, make sure you switch either on the project, or it doesn't really matter. You could switch to 48K, whichever. Just make sure we're in the right kilohertz. But Logic will let you know if you know, you're not in the right kilohertz, or you won't be able to hear any sound. So mic placement matters a ton. So if you experience any phase issues as well, make sure watch a couple of YouTube videos on that. You want to make sure all your mics are in phase, especially those overheads, that they're equidistant, usually to the snare or to the middle of the drum set. But yeah, I hope this template helps a lot. If you found this useful, let me know. If you didn't, let me know too. I can take the feedback. I really just want to help you guys with this stuff. Man, I started like 4 years ago. I was in the trenches. I didn't know anything about recording. I had a lot of great friends that helped me in college. So I was very fortunate to learn all this stuff, but I'm not claiming to be an expert. A lot of people ask for this. So here's my mix template. Please enjoy it and let me know if you got any questions. And if you want to pick up the recording course, I wouldn't mind if you did. With the recording course, you get 100% money back guarantee. So I'm not trying to scam you guys into buy my course and take your money. I really want you guys to improve your drum recording and improve your mixing, because I've been there, man. I've been there. So 100% money back guarantee. If you felt like it was a waste of money, or you felt like it didn't improve your drum sound, or I was a terrible teacher, for any reason, email me. 100% money back guarantee. So no risk if you want to buy it. But I get it if you don't, man. Don't get it. Enjoy this mix template. So thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, let me know if you have any questions. Enjoy. Happy mixing, guys.